All right, here we go. So this is something I'm very passionate about. So the biggest mistakes I've seen around fasting, now 20 years into this, 22 years in. Truth is, my first fast was not on purpose. It was when I was in the Marine Corps, and it was 8 days, and I lost 30 pounds. But that's not what we're talking about. Lots of mistakes happened that day, but I want to kind of cover some of the biggest mistakes I'm seeing with people fasting and what you can do to prevent it, and also to do it appropriately. And there's a few that are out there that are really kind of hanging on me, and I want to give everybody the true insights on that, especially if you're going to make fasting a part of your life. And just so you know, if you're watching this, what's the longest you've ever went fasting before? What's the longest amount of time? For me, it's 14 days. Not that I'm bragging. I didn't feel like I had a choice at that time, and I don't actually recommend that for most people. 14 days, that's crazy, right? Hey, what's up, Faye? How are you? Siba, good to see you. So here's the deal. When you start to fast, and I'm a huge fan of it, I think fasting appropriately and fasting in a right manner can be super beneficial. Now there's science on all sides of this whole thing, but what I'm going to go to is primitively humans fasted. So it's not a new thing for the human body, although we don't live in the primitive world. So there is some complications to that concept. And so a few things that I want people to be aware of the biggest mistakes of fasting. And the first one, I'm just going to hit it off the top. So what happens is that there's a problem in our world today. And this is really serious. I want you to really listen to this, because if you're one of these people, you're ultimately going to quit, sabotage, and fail long term, unless you understand that you have to do some things in place. Okay. So there's a large percentage of people, at least in the Western civilization, in America, Canada, Mexico, Europe. I mean, most of the people that are watching me, Australia, there's a large percentage, and this percentage could be 40 to 70%. So it's a large percentage of people basically don't metabolize fat really well. They can't get into ketosis really well. So meaning what our ancestors used to be able to do really in and out, your body should naturally go in and out of ketosis, meaning that when you fast a long enough amount of time, your body's going to run out of its glucose. It's going to start to use ketones as a fuel source. If you can't transition that very easily, fasting can actually really be hard for you and hard on you, and ultimately cause a lot of problems. And there's some things you can do, and I'm going to give you that right off the bat, and then I'm going to give you the other fasting challenges that I have for people. So the iFast is great, and we're going to talk a little about that. I got one right here. So here's the deal. If you ever watch a vampire show, you ever see somebody get bit by a vampire, Vampire Diaries or something, and they go through this transition of being a human. They go through it, and then they get all like, and they're like freaking out between this phase of being a human and becoming the vampire, right? They're in this transition phase. That transition phase is the way I relate it to going from a glucose burner to a ketone burner. You have to transition. Okay. The better you are at going back and forth, the more that you can transition metabolically really easy, the more fasting you're going to thrive on. The more that's an obstacle and that you can't do it, and there's a lot of people that can't do it well. Dr. Mohiki Parodi did this research on how some people doing the perfect ketogenic diet, fasting regularly, can't produce enough ketones. Well, that means they don't have enough fuel. That means that their body is basically in limbo. It doesn't have enough fuel to satisfy its demand, and therefore you're going to jump off. You're going to quit, and you're not going to feel good. You're struggling through this journey. So if you're somebody out there that's fasting and not feeling like you're getting the best results, then we want to implement tools in place. Okay. So this is by far the biggest debunk. I want people just to really realize this. It's easier because I see it all the time. People go like, I already fast. People are fasting and obese, right? You see construction workers, you see it. You're like, well, what's wrong? Why is it not working for them? Like, their body should be more efficient than that. No, because the switch is off. That person also comes home and basically passes out, exhausted. Like, their body is not operating the way it should be. So first thing we want to do, and this is, I would say everybody do it this way, is use ketones while you fast. Support your fast. It doesn't break your fast, but basically what you're doing is providing a sustained fuel source as your body's getting used to running out of glucose, right, in your fasting windows, so that your body can get really good at transitioning from a fat burner to a glucose burner. Because let's be honest, most of you aren't going to follow a strict ketogenic diet forever, right? You're going to have days off. You want to be good at going in and out, more in than out. Let's just say you want your body to be able to go into ketosis more than you want out of it long term. Okay, that percentage is up to be determined. So What we have here is our fasting kit. So why I'm a huge fan of this is frankly, who's done the iFast? If you don't mind, in the chat, drop down what's your benefit of the iFast. It's been extraordinary. What I'm going to tell you is I've been not only been teaching fasting for 20 years, mostly without using ketones, the last 8 years with ketones. People are fasting and not even realizing it. It's just easy for them. Like, I kind of already am fasting. And then over the last few months, we've implemented this thing called iFast. And iFast, and there's a reason why people are getting a more abundant result from iFast. And it has to do with that when you're basically utilizing ketones throughout the entire day, right? And so while you're going into this fasting state, what's happening is you're elevating your ketones to it's called the zone, to a very optimal level. There's a range that you want to get to. When you get to that optimal level, you just feel super laser in. And you're like, I don't even need to eat. I feel good. I'm not super hungry. So now you can start to be more decision making on your food choices. So we do this for 5 days in a row, and you might take a couple of days off. Do you want to fast all the time? No, that's one of the mistakes people are making. So the iFast is a great tool to use to get your ketone levels up and then start to teach you your relationship with food. Okay. And then when you come out of it, we want to transition out, back in, out, back in, out, back in. What's happening is you're training your body to become a ketone burner back to into being just an efficient machine. Ketone burner, efficient machine. And you're staying in the optimal range, which is what our ancestors would have naturally done because they were very efficient and they weren't consuming a lot of the foods that we consume on a regular basis. So people are noticing a really strong satiation. They're noticing their waistline trim down. They're noticing hyper focus, sustained energy, high quality sleep, just overall well-being, enhanced mood. And that's the normal benefits of what a high level of ketones would do for you. Basically, you're performing at the highest possible level. So it's really, really, really extraordinary. And most people are eating 2 meals a day. They might have a small meal for lunch and a larger one for dinner. They might have a larger one for lunch, smaller one for dinner. It doesn't matter. And then you're trying to cut off any food after 8 p.m. And try not to eat much food before 12 p.m. or 12 p.m. Now, some people might need to walk into that a little bit, but I'm not getting into that today. This is just the mistake. So that's number one, is that you're fasting, but your body's not super efficient. So therefore, you're basically slowing the system down, not speeding it up to the way that you want it to work. That's number one mistake. The second mistake is people are making fasting a competitive sport. What do I mean by that? Is they're trying to challenge themselves to see how long they can fast for. And once again, if the first one's wrong, if you're not efficient yet and you're competitively fasting, you actually could be breaking down your system. The other thing you're doing is, especially if you're putting a high physical demand on your body and you're pushing your body and you have high stress in your life and you're not sleeping super well, you're actually metabolically, you could be cannibalizing yourself, especially if you're not burning enough fat to keep your caloric energy up and sustained. So you're slowing down your metabolism. So what I recommend is, that's why you do them in windows. You do basically a 24-hour fast, a 60-hour fast, or you do the 5-day iFast, and then you cycle back off and you have more of a normal diet or normal eating plan. Basically, think of it this way: you run out of food. Our ancestors ran out of food, and then they went hunting, right? Well, that hunting period might have been 24 hours. It might have been 12 hours. It might have been 60 hours, right? So that hunting window is going to depend. It's going to be flex, right? And then they catch an animal. They didn't put it away and say, I got to finish my fast. No, they went and ate the animal. So they overconsumed or consumed a plenty of calories. That keeps their metabolism more stable. It's reminding your body you want to be up here. You don't want to always be in lack, right? You want to be up here too. So you want to cycle, not carbohydrates as much. You can do that if you understand what you're doing, but it's more cycling calories, right? So you're not always being aggressive, saying I'm going to fast all the time. Some days I eat a little earlier. I usually don't eat at 5 or 6 like I used to, 5 or 6 in the morning. I might eat at 9. I might eat at 10. I might eat at 12, 1, 5, 3. It's changing because I feel different some days, right? And so this is a big mistake people are making. They're competitively low calorie all the time, and you don't want to do that. You want to cycle your calories. So you want to give yourself days of being permission. Now, that's one of the mistakes I see. The last mistake I'm going to go over. I can talk for hours on this, and I probably should do like more Zooms on it. The last mistake I see quite often is what people are doing when they come out of their fast. They're breaking their fast with crap, and it kind of undoes the fast, the benefit of the fast. The truth is gut health is a huge problem in our country. And you're going to hear me talk more about gut health, and I'm going to give you some solutions to gut health if you guys are open to that. Would you guys all want to learn more about improving your gut health without stressing out about it and really simple and easy? I'm gonna put something together for you all. It's gonna obviously conjunction with ketones, conjunction with high quality food. But when you come out of your fast, it's a natural cleanse. A fasting is a natural cleanse. Your body naturally is detoxing all the time anyway. And so what happens is, um, is that when you come out of the fast, what you put in your body really is important at that time. Okay, so what I recommend is you're going to want to lean towards the first off is just more paleo foods, more natural. Like the more natural the food sources, the better. The last thing you want to do is overeat. You don't want to necessarily overeat. Ideally, what I'd like you to put into your diet is things like broth from soup. I love making like a homemade soup coming out of my fast. Now, if it's intermittent fasting, is not as much of a concern. The longer you go on the fast, the more I emphasize this. But I like to make soup, make broths, have Keto Pro coming out of your fast. What I also like is things like kimchi and sauerkraut, fermented type foods to help improve gut bacteria and gut flora. What we want to do is we want to get flourishing. We want our gut to really get flourished and ramp up digestive process. We don't want to dampen it down by foods that are over processed. We don't want to dampen it down by junk food, right? Now, it's tempting, but what happens, people go through all this hard work of fasting and they sabotage the benefit of it all by overindulging on crap. And it's not serving you long term. Does it mean I don't ever have crap? No, I do. I do have fun foods from time to time, but I don't do it as a way to break my fast. I always want to progress out. You can do some apple cider vinegar with a little bit of water. You can actually do that during your fast also. We want to promote a better gut environment and gut health just to help improve digestion. What it'll also do is the more that we can improve gut bacteria, it's going to help your bowels transition so you're not basically in loose stools all the time. And these are things that you want to be able to do. So those are the three biggest mistakes I see on fasting. So if you haven't gotten this kit yet, grab it. Whoever invited you to follow me, make sure you grab this. They come in pack of 5. They're amazing. It'll change everything in your journey. I actually recommend having that get a couple boxes of the ketones with it and put this to program together. It'll change everything for you. You'll be in therapeutic ketosis in an optimal range sustainably, and you're going to feel absolutely lights out amazing. So whoever invited you to follow me, get back to them and go, hey, I want to try this. It'll change everything. Remember, my recommendation is always 60 days of ketones. Always do 60 days of ketones. Don't just try them, do it. This will change your life forever. It's the best shot you have. It also activates that GLUT4 transporter to make you a better and more efficient fat burner, which allows you to come in and out of ketosis more efficiently. Win. It's a huge win. Of course, if you're following me, hit me up, let me know, and I'll take care of you and get you all set up. So peace out. Later, guys. Cheers.